Hi, my name is Catherine Stilfen. I'm part of the team here at Sage. Thank you so much for joining us today for B2B or not to be, what modern B2B and B2C buyers expect, and how ERP-First e-commerce delivers. Today, I am joined by Krista Visser, who is the CEO of commercebuild, as well as Daniel Saunders, who is a sales director. commercebuild is a tech partner of Sage, and today we're going to be discussing uh, really kind of getting into, we're going to be providing a demo of commercebuild, as well as discussing the fact that many Sage customers really need to support both B2B and B2C commerce on a single ERP. But they treat these models the same, which can create complexity as well as disconnected systems. So throughout this hour, this session is going to explain the true differences between B2B and B2C e-commerce, as well as show how an ERP-first approach can help enable scalable hybrid commerce. You're also going to be learning how commercebuild partners with Sage customers to design and evolve an ERP integrated commerce strategy. And we will be showing you a demo using commercebuild with WooCommerce and WordPress. So some of the key takeaways today, we will be discussing how B2B and B2C commerce really differ beyond the storefront, as well as how to run hybrid B2B and B2C commerce with one ERP as the source of truth. And we'll also be discussing why an ERP-first strategy reduces complexity and supports growth, as well as how commercebuild can support customers from strategy to execution. So we will be recording this session today. So I will be sharing this out after the webinar. If you do have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A section, and we will be addressing those toward the end. But at this time, I'd love to introduce you again to Krista Visser. So Chris, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Catherine, and hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to present to you. As Catherine introduced, we will be talking about B2B or not to be, a Hamlet reference, because we find ourselves talking to a lot of customers and prospects, and aligning on terminology is very important, of course, when you're investigating software platforms that can dramatically impact your business. It's very important, and we encourage everybody to be very clear about what your intentions are, and we'll walk you through some of the strategies we see working amongst our clients, some of the discussions we are having with people, some of the things we see happening in the markets, and how that can positively impact how you run your business online. As mentioned, my name is Chris de Visser. I come with 15 years experience in ERP and B2B e-commerce in particular. I am living in New York City, but I'm originally from the Netherlands, hence the accent and the difficult last name. With me today, as well as my colleague Daniel, you'll hear from him later with regards to the demo. But of course, both of us are here also for questions. So indeed, feel free to put those in the Q&A panel as we can address those towards the end of the presentation. Little quick agenda here, B2B versus B2C strategy, why mainstream platforms fall short, and why we feel the ERP-first approach in hybrid or not is the better one. And then, of course, as mentioned, the demo and the Q&A. Some learning objectives, Catherine walked through some of them already, but understanding the real difference, identifying the experience for your audience, the way your business operates or you would like to operate, and then you have a lot of insights at the end of this webinar to take home. What is B2B e-commerce? And this is our interpretation of it, of course. We're not saying that's the absolute truth, but this is what we call B2B e-commerce. You're selling to other businesses through account-based shopping. Customers need to log in to access their pricing, their products, and their terms. It's often meant for quick self-service with quick orders, finding open invoices, pay open invoices, find other account management related tasks, A lot of contract pricing, configurable products, lots of SKUs, and payment terms pulled from Sage, right? You run Sage or you're investigating running on Sage, and why would you replicate all this data to a website? It's all already in the ERP. So ideally, we pull that from the ERP so you don't have to manage that in two places. It's designed for quick and efficient repeat and bulk purchasing, high transaction amounts, high deal volume, and not your average kind of browsing. Because that is what we interpret what B2C e-commerce is. You're selling to individuals through an open web store. Anybody can place an order. You may not even be required to log in and use a guest checkout as long as payment is received using a credit card. You have list pricing, retail pricing, standard pricing, again, terminology that is used loosely by different parties. But generally, it all applies the same logic to all customers. It's designed for product discovery, marketing, and conversion. So us as consumers in our daily lives, buying things for our families, but not for our companies that we work for. One-time or low-frequency purchases is the more common scenario, and it's designed for conversion, not complexity. Often more design than just pragmatic interfaces. Then there's a hybrid, and actually there's many forms of hybrid in this as well. We see that amongst our clients, some are very strict B2B, some are very strict B2C, and then there's many variants in between in some form of hybrid, leaning heavier B2B, leaning heavier B2C, or even kind of pick and choosing features as they please and as their industry and they estimate their clients want to use the website. So B2B customers can log in, and as soon as they log in, they can see their customer specific pricing, products, and terms. And B2C buyers can also do a checkout through a guest interface with standard pricing and open access. So that means one web store, one experience serves both customers or types of customers. That is designed to find a balance in marketing, conversion, and operational efficiency. So yeah, we've seen it kind of all. And here we are at the first question.
So we'd love to ask, which best describes your current e-commerce model? Are you primarily B2B, primarily a mix perhaps of B2B and B2C, or are you not currently selling online? So if everyone could take a few seconds, we would love your feedback.
I think we've made a repeat here. Let's make answer B primarily B2C. I see they're both listed as B2B, but A is B2B, B is B2C. I'm making it more confusing here, but.
Okay, we'll give everyone about 5 more seconds. Okay, so it looks like 28.6% of our audience has said they are primarily B2C, with 14.3% of our audience said their current e-commerce model is primarily B2B. And then 42.9% of our audience is a mix of B2B and B2C, with 14.3% not currently selling online.
Great. Yeah, and it's actually pretty representative from what we see amongst our client base. So it's interesting to see that holds true. Yeah, most businesses using an ERP, using Sage, say they are B2B, but like we alluded to earlier, there's many hybrids. They might still accept a guest checkout and credit card orders from what we then consider a B2C client. They'd like to attract new customers through their website for maybe that initial order. And once they vet the new client out, they may offer some B2B terms. Um, and of course, there's those companies that, as you also indicated in the previous question, still have a retail channel alongside the B2B. So those companies are not choosing one model, they are already serving both. And that all feeds into what platform do you choose, what vendor do you choose to work with, what's your online strategy to improve the revenue through the website. Who/what are you designing your website for? That is then, of course, a very important question. Who's your primary buyer? Which buyer or model do you profit from the most? And what e-commerce model matters most? There's all kinds of options out there, of course, and it's important to orient yourself efficiently and sufficiently. And what we see a lot is survivorship bias. Are you optimizing for the right or the wrong things? And I don't know if people are familiar with survivorship bias, but during World War II, analysts studied returning planes to determine where to reinforce them. And you see the red dots on the screen. That's where they found bullet holes. So the natural instinct was we need to reinforce those places because that's where they get hit the most, and therefore we'll have more planes staying up in the air. The problem, of course, is these are the planes that survived. These are the planes that came back. So although the instinct is natural, they found that they actually had to reinforce the places where you don't see the red dots because these planes were actually surviving the battlefields. And that is an important lesson when you're trying to optimize your web store. Complete different nature, of course, but most e-commerce strategies are designed around what is easiest to measure, like traffic and conversation. But that leads to experiences optimized for browsing and checkout, like we are, all of our B2C consumers on Amazon. We buy things for ourselves, for our families, and we bring those experiences to the workforce, but they're not always applicable in the same scenarios. B2B buyers often want speed, accuracy, repeatability, less distraction, quick order screens. And the challenge is not supporting both B2B and B2C, but designing the experience to handle both effectively. And that's where our reference B2B or not to be comes from. Here we are at the next question.
Okay, so we'd love to know, what are you primarily optimizing your e-commerce experience for today? Is it for conversion and the checkout experience, or speed, accuracy, and repeat ordering, or new customer acquisition, or perhaps customer-specific pricing terms and ordering? If everyone could take a few seconds to respond. Okay, we'll give everyone about 5 more seconds. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the results. So it was kind of a tie between conversion and checkout experience, and speed, accuracy, and repeat ordering with 12.5%. 25% of our audience said they are primarily optimizing their e-commerce experience for new customer acquisition, with 50% saying customer-specific pricing, terms, and ordering.
Very good. That's encouraging. I'd like an informed and educated audience. Okay, now off to the next kind of chapter. What's the problem with mainstream e-commerce platforms? And of course, these are the big names out there. There's many e-commerce platforms out there, and they're great platforms. They all serve a particular audience and a particular purpose, but we see problems when these kind of B2C designed platforms are applied in a B2B environment and having to integrate with ERP platforms. Because most of those platforms are built for B2C. They rely on connectors. They lead to disconnected experiences because you're maintaining data in many places. And the question is, what is the single source of truth? It's no longer the ERP, because a portion of the business logic is maintained in the e-commerce platform, as these systems need that to function properly. Yeah, that leads to all kinds of problems. The third-party connector is required. That brings another dimension to it. You're dealing with a lot of vendors, and none of them own the entire ecosystem of your e-commerce environment. So there might be a problem with the ERP. There might be a problem with the connector. There might be a problem with the website. And you, as an organization, have to figure out who to call when there is a problem. And at that point, you're missing out on revenue, of course. And yeah, in general, people expect complete uptime over website, being able to place orders around the clock. And it may break certain transactions and relationships with clients. The hidden costs of connectors, I mentioned it before, but it requires constant maintenance. You have to constantly make sure that if any of the systems involved update, the connector is also updated. You run into sync errors that you'll have to manually fix and work around. Orders that are not being placed, stuck in the e-commerce system, not in the ERP, or the other way around. And updates could break critical business logic in the ERP. So not only could it affect your online business, but also the way your warehouse operates, for example. Disconnected systems lead to disconnected experiences, price and stock mismatches, manual order re-entry, frustrated customers, and inefficient operations. And that brings us to the next question.
Okay. What is your biggest challenge with e-commerce today? Would you say it is keeping pricing and product data aligned with ERP, or managing inventory and order visibility, delivering the right experience for B2B and B2C buyers, or reducing manual entry and admin work, or perhaps integration complexity and connector cost? If everyone could take a few seconds, we'd love your feedback. Okay, and I see some of the comments in the Q&A section. One of our audience members has mentioned managing inventory. All right, we'll give everyone about 5 more seconds. Okay, let's take a look. So it looks like it was a tie again between managing inventory and order visibility, with 12.5%, as well as delivering the right experience for B2B and B2C buyers with 12.5%, and then reducing manual entry and admin work with 50%, and then 25% of our audience said integration complexity and connector costs was their biggest challenge with e-commerce today.
Yeah, good cross section again of the things we see happening when people come to us. So what's the solution for that? In our humble opinion, ERP-First e-commerce, right? So commercebuild as a company has existed for more than 20 years, and we always knew our e-commerce platform would integrate with an ERP system. So it's from the very first line of code designed and written with the thought that the data lives in Sage. And Sage, of course, has all kinds of beautiful add-ons that you can hook into it. And one of them, in our mind, is the integrated e-commerce provider, commercebuild. This way, Sage is your single source of truth. All data, all logic lives there. And we expose that to the extent you need that to a website where people can place orders while still controlling, of course, what they see, what data and logic applies to what customer, depending on who logs in. Why that matters, customers expect that real-time accuracy, and we saw that in some of the questions and the answers. People are struggling with inventory and keeping that up to date and real-time. But sales teams also require visibility. You may have a team of outbound salespeople that reach out to clients, do account management, and they want similar insights without always having to log into the ERP and pull some of that information. And of course, finance needs reliable data. It doesn't always mean in a disconnected system that an order on the website is immediately visible for the finance team. So it's very important that that data lives in Sage, and finance uses the Sage reporting capabilities to report back to management on the financial state of the company. The ERP-First e-commerce advantage shows itself with native ERP integrations. You're not dealing with connectors or sync issues. The data flow is accurate. That leads to much lower operational costs. And there's all kinds of hybrids between B2B and B2C, or a very strict separation of those, of course, possible as well. We generally see revenue growth because of that. You can sell around the clock. The order processing, the operations are much more streamlined. Our clients use all forms of hybrid B2B and B2C experiences, but the data is real-time synchronized with Sage. So you know for a fact what is and isn't an order when that enters Sage. As mentioned, we've been ERP e-commerce experts for over 20 years. We have global support, fully integrated, and your one-stop shop for design, connect, and build. We have ERP integrated e-commerce. We offer a hybrid of B2B and B2C connected web stores. We also offer very clear B2B customer portals and sales portals where you limit what a non-customer audience sees, and our headless engine makes a lot of variants of that possible as well. As it was mentioned in the intro, we have two versions of our platform. One is our native out-of-the-box commercebuild suite, and we also have an integration built with WooCommerce. That is the WordPress e-commerce engine. And you can see some stats, but almost half of the internet runs on WordPress. So a fantastic platform in case you look for a more B2C type experience. We've seen it all, and over those 20 years have helped many, many clients going online while running Sage. So we can certainly give you our insights, and happy to follow up with you on the commercebuild advantage. Native ERP integrations, quick implementations, 24/7 global support. We have quite literally teams from New Zealand where it's already Wednesday morning, to the West Coast of the United States. So we can really serve you around the clock, cost-effective pricing, priced mid-market, similar to your investments in Sage. And we've been around since 2006. And with that, I'll hand it over to my colleague Daniel, who will provide a little demo of the solution.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Just share my screen. Phenomenal. Everybody should be seeing a wonderful demo site that's been maintained and created by myself. So what I'll show you, if you look at the tabs up at the top, you'll see one that says home and then one that says commerce build. So I really wanted to differentiate between, a pure B2B site and then one of a hybrid site that has a B2C offering and a B2B mixture in that. I can show you on the surface, because we won't have enough time to go into all of that, how that merges and plays pretty well. But in this site here, what you'll notice, as I've created it strictly for a B2B viewpoint, I'm not logged in, so it knows I'm obviously a guest. I've got a couple of product categories here. And what I've done is I've created limited product views. In a B2B world, some of your customers may actually be able to purchase products that some other customers can't purchase, right? So all of that makes a big difference here. In addition to, while we want to showcase, maybe you're trying to bring customers in, you're having that customer acquisition. So you need to work on SEO, you need to work on driving people to your site, which means you have to show products and show descriptions and all the content and stuff. But you don't want to share pricing, right? You want the customer to engage with you so you can negotiate with that. And what I've done here is just create some products with really out any pricing. And I've even stripped it down even more. I don't even have any product descriptions in this sense, in this scenario. The power of this is when you log in, you're going to see a bunch of things change on the screen. And this is by design. So what you'll see now is as I log in, it's associated with my account inside of the ERP. It knows the account number, and it actually now knows that I have access to additional product lines and additional product categories here. If you scroll down, now we've got our customer negotiated pricing that has showed up on the actual screen. Now I'm a super admin here in this portal. Some of your other customers, maybe they run a bunch of franchises, right? So maybe they're ordering on behalf of a couple of different locations. Maybe you want your sales reps that are out in the field to be able to have access, because it's an easier way to give somebody access on a web browser or an application than it is for them to run around and always having to need connection inside of the ERP. So what they'd be able to do is they'd be able to switch customers in this sense. So say I'm going to visit customer A. I've got my account set up with their web portal up on my phone. I can click switch customer, and I can very easily go to a completely different customer. And now I get all of those rich details so that I can have that common ground conversation face to face with those individuals in that sense. And just to show you some of the real-time price changes that we can do with account bases and stuff, just want you guys to quickly take a look at some of these prices. $7.93, $119, $119, $65 here. That's because I'm under Downtown Coffee. If I ever go down here and let's go to Car Factory, that's a 40,000 number. Well, now I've got completely different pricing. Now $63.44, $55 here, all by design, right? Because now I've attached myself to this particular AR record inside of the ERP, and now I can see everything associated with this Car Factory customer. Let's go back to Downtown Coffee real quick. Let's go, we're already in here, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of our product views and things. Now, some of you guys may utilize variants. In a B2C world, you don't want customers to have endless amount of product pages, right? 100 product pages, depending on how many products you have. That's tough for a buyer to go in there and kind of search through and try to find the things that they want. Typical in the B2C, but wouldn't it be better if, say, I had this Keurig machine here and the machine is practically the same, but the only thing difference about them is the color, right? Now, pricing could be different as well too, depending on the color and things of that nature. But if I go in here and now I can select this particular color, you notice that the item code changes to the exact code that's inside the ERP. The black now comes up as the one that's in record. I can see the total amount that's in stock, and this is all toggable. So if you don't want your end users to see that, not a problem. You can just say in stock, out of stock. Maybe you just want your salespeople or internal staff to see that in stock or out of stock type of thing too. We even have an additional layer. We can go deep into that because we have access to all the warehouses and where they're at, how many are on sales order. We even have a column in here that I don't have listed here that is how many are on purchase order. So again, we are completely integrated inside of your ERP. It's a matter of preference on how much data you want to show and who you want to show it with in that sense. So here, what I'll do is I'll also go ahead and change to red. I think that's important because now we've got a pricing change too as it comes to red. We see the red there. We've also got some pricing breaks here. So if you buy 3 of these, they're $89.99 instead of $99.99. If you buy 5, they're $69.99. So let's go ahead and add 10 to the cart. That should go ahead and pull up the $69.99, as you can see right then and there. Now, B2B scenario, so the goal is to get somebody to add it to the cart and check out. And a B2B customer pretty much knows what they want. They understand how many quantities that they need, and their job is to sell their business. They're just replenishing, right? So the quicker that you can get a transaction done, the better. And that B2B buyer is going to come back to you because you made it a very easy, fast, and simple process for you guys to do business together. And that's repeatable, and that's what's important. And that's what keeps B2B alive, is that fast and repeatable process. Let's say that that's still too much for your B2B. I've run businesses in the back end where I know all the part numbers. So if I'm ever reordering items, I don't even go into a product category or anything. I know exactly the product number that I'm looking for. And a lot of sites out there, what I'll have to do is type in the actual number into the search bar up here, and then it'll take me to the product and all of that. So one of the things here at commercebuild, what we've been able to do is we want to make that way faster. So this is our quick order form. To me, it's a Excel spreadsheet on steroids that's connected from an e-commerce web platform into the ERP. So you can see I've added 10 of these already into the cart. Maybe I want to buy a bag of coffee, and I know that it's a Arabica blend, right? So I can easily type in ARA. It's going to pull up those items. Maybe I'm a little bit hesitant, but I don't know, but I know it's coffee, right? So I can come in here and add coffee to the list. I just typed coffee, and now I get a list of everything that's inclusive of coffee. And during the implementation, we'd help you figure all that out and make sure we put the right tags in the right tags in that sense. And you can also say, hey, look, they don't want to just buy one bag of that blended coffee that you have on there, Daniel. We've got multiples inside our ERP. How will we do that on here? Well, actually, units of measure is super easy, right? So now they can go ahead and just quickly add those selections on there. So instead of a single bag, now they can buy and purchase a bag of 48. And then strictly from here, they can click the button, proceed directly over into the checkout, and then that'll take you directly over into the checkout screen. Oh, of course, they're in a demo, it's going to do that, but that's okay. We'll go back to the quick order, and it's all gone. Just kidding, guys. It's all part of a demo and how we do this. So let's go back. Let's add coffee in there. Let's add Arabica blend. Let's go ahead and add the bag. We'll go ahead and zip on over to the checkout real quick. There we go. Now, in the checkout, because we're connected into the ERP and to this customer's account, we're going to be able to either A, select the delivery addresses that are already inside the ERP, or you can have that customer add a brand new delivery address. I'm going to go ahead and select this Texas address here. Now, also from a delivery standpoint, a lot of things that we can go into from a delivery. Is it a buy one, get one free? Is it if you purchase X amount, is it free shipping? We can support all of those rules, all of those logics. We can even set up individual rule sets for individual customers. Maybe they have their own trucks and they're going to pick that up. Maybe they want to add their own service in there and then use their own FedEx number. All of these things that we can absolutely set up for individual use cases, or we can set global rules in any of that. The other thing is that if you have dimensions and weights set up inside of your ERP, well, we're going to pull all that, and that's in the cart there. So if you want to do real live time delivery options and quoting, then what we'll do is we'll take the contents of the cart, whatever delivery method that you have selected, we're going to go ahead and call that using your credentials. So we're going to get your rates, pull your rates back here. Now from there, you have a couple of options. You can either deliver the rates that we pulled back, which are your discounted rates to the customer. We can add those rates plus a flat percent. We could do a flat fee on top of that. Many different ways that we're able to handle shipping. And we can even make sure, certain contents can't be shipped certain way, right? So if you're selling lithium batteries, you're not going to be able to send that via air. That has to be ground. The commercebuild platform is smart enough to understand that, and those options will not be available or even shown depending on what you have in the cart with certain rule sets that you have. Now, in a B2B scenario, you probably have a customer that wants to put down a purchase order number so that they can reference back to be able to pay those invoices at a later date, whether it's 30, 60, 90. Again, we're bringing the terms over. Maybe you want to go ahead and have them, or a customer wants to go ahead and send a note over with that order. We have a place to do that as well, whether it's just at the order level. We can even enable individual line items for each product. That's up to you. Again, we're super flexible. If a customer has any promotional code, there's probably 1,000,001 ways that we can handle promotions. One time, many time, this customer only. So your customers, if they know each other, they can't share specific promo codes that are designed for them. So again, we can all set that up during the implementation. And then, it's very easy for you guys to manage your own site on the back end of that. So ongoing promotions, your marketing person can go in there, or your web person can go in there and set up more promotional codes, delete old ones, anything that you'd really like in that sense. So here in this scenario, I've got a couple of different options kind of selected. What you may want to do in a B2B scenario is not even offer a credit card, but you offer the on-account status for them. Because we're plugged into Sage 300 and Sage XRE, we know the terms and conditions that you guys have, right? So if a customer has a $100,000 line of credit with you, we know that here on the screen. And let's say this order is going to put them over. Well, that's a business decision, but we can have a pop-up screen that says, please reach out to your sales rep, or a pop-up screen that says, hey, you're over your order limit. We'll allow you to place this order, but this order will come in on hold. Please go to the Pay Open Invoice section of the web portal and satisfy some of those invoices. So I'll go ahead and place this order through really quick, and then I'll take you to the customer portal section of the commercebuild web portal. So you can see ending in 139, we got those 2 items plus the delivery charge that I selected on there. And then from here, easily go over into the customer portal section. That 139, you can see we're doing a quick lookup into the ERP, and there it is, order 139. It's in open status as of right now, and I'm horrible with my ERP. I haven't set up any automations. Your Sage partner is way better than I am at working inside your Sage ERP. But we have all these columns in addition to, so maybe some of these things don't matter to you, but again, we're pulling over a lot of data points. So really working with us and understanding what do your customers want to see and how do they want to see it? And maybe it's a group of customers that need to see something different from another group. That's totally fine as well. We support quotes. So if you're a company that does customizations and fabrication and things of that nature, if you want to allow a customer to request a quote, upload any type of schematics, dimensions, things of that nature, we fully support that. Quote function, not only on the web portal, but the quote function that lives currently inside of the Sage ERP that you're using as well. Let's say customer places an order, they go ahead and receive their items. they're on a 60-day timestamp to be able to pay those invoices back. So here we've got a wonderful transactional screen here so our customer can have it all in one, right? They come here to the back of the portal, they say, hey, oh yeah, my 60 day is up. I'll need to pay an open invoice so that I can remain current with you guys here. So I could do something as easy as I could pay all the open ones, or I could just select and choose the ones that I'd like to pay for in this scenario here. Depending on your payment gateway, which we support a lot of them, it just depends on which one you'd like to use. You can either pay these with a credit card option on the back end, and then also we do support surcharges. So that seems to be very popular nowadays in protecting profit margin. So if you need to add a 3% to utilize the credit card, not a problem. We would just add that on there as well. I don't have it enabled here, but if your payment processor supports ACH, or if you're up in Canada with the FT, we absolutely would support that as well. Just an additional kind of tool for you guys to protect margin and to be able to offer an additional service to your customers. Chris mentioned in an earlier slide about our hybrid headless WooCommerce offering. This right here, I'm officially logged in, so you'll kind of get a good view of a B2B and a B2C. As you can see, this webpage has a lot of content. So there's a lot of additional marketing items that you'd work with that Google loves. That way the search engines can rank you really high and you'll be at the top of the page. But also too, in the checkout too, you're gonna see the shopping cart, you're gonna see additional selected products in that case. I was working on a pretty cool AI bot that I've disabled now. I've got a little bit more work to do, but it'll go on there and help a buyer. So in this case, we're selling bikes. And you can go on this AI chatbot and say, hey, I need a green mountain bike, right? You're not really sure what kind of bike you need. Maybe it's a city bike, maybe it's a mountain bike, but you'd be able to go into that chat and just talk to it, right? Just like you guys probably use ChatGPT or Grok or Claude today. And that'll take you to a product page collected of the actual features and attributes that you've asked for in that sense. So yeah, super fun, super cool. Really awesome to talk to anybody. If you'd like, we can really dive into probably an hour and a half of a real dedicated demonstration. So we can talk about your business, your goals, kind of some of the struggles and things that you guys have been dealing with. And then we can start kind of matching those up to the solutions of how commercebuild would solve for that. But yeah, looking forward to talking to you guys and showing you a lot more than what we've already showed you. Let me stop this and you should see the demo screen here. And really the last slide here is, look, to be B2B or not to be, right? commercebuild is ERP-First, whether you're choosing B2B, B2C, a mixture of both. You know, it's about creating a seamless shopping experience for every type of unique buyer, whether they're fast like me and want to use the quick portal, or they're okay with shopping around and using the product categories and all the wonderful suggestions. Thank you guys so much.
Great. All right, well, thank you so much. So at this time, we will move forward with Q&A. If you have any questions at this time, if you could please put those in the Q&A section, and Daniel or Chris will be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Okay, and one of our first questions is, what is the biggest mistake you see companies make when trying to support B2B e-commerce on a B2C platform? So Daniel or Chris, whoever would like to. Okay.
Yeah, no, not a problem. And Daniel, feel free to jump in where you deem necessary. But yeah, the biggest mistake we see is that they're actually bothering their clients with a B2C experience while they are just looking for a quick way to place an order. And we see these scenarios a lot in B2B organizations with a lot of complexity around their items, spare parts. We have one client that has over 400,000 items on their website. God forbid, you have to scroll through everything and go to every product detail page to add it to your cart, and then go through a regular B2C checkout experience, because that's how these systems are built, and that serves a particular purpose, but not for that audience, right? Those clients want that quick order screen that Daniel was showing, where you just enter item number, quantity, you tap through the fields with your keyboard. You don't have to use your mouse. Maybe you look up an exact order that you did 2 years ago, and you just click repeat order, and it puts all those items in the cart. You may make a little tweak. It's just a lot more transaction oriented than that it's experience oriented. And yeah, the B2C platforms, like I said, they're fantastic if you are a consumer, but the experience is kind of in the way of your actual business if you are a B2B buyer.
Yeah, I would add too, Chris, and you touched on it. The many different types of experiences that people want. I don't buy like my wife buys. I'm very much a desktop person. My wife is all phone, so I can't do phone. And that's another thing. So everything that commercebuild does too, it's all mobilely optimized in that sense too. So while I'll do everything that I can to avoid purchasing anything on a phone, she will only purchase on a phone. So being able to provide those different types of buying scenarios in one platform without all the overhead that normally comes with supporting those different experiences in the mainstream platform.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And we received another question in follow-up to that from our audience member who's asking, he mentions our B2B would not be public. It's more of a private experience and more of a portal that is meant for our business customers. So his question is, does commercebuild have an example of this style of B2C?
Yeah, we have many of our clients that run solely on a closed portal. So every customer is provided a login, so they know who the buyer is before they even buy something. Our clients provide their clients a login, and that's the only way they can get access to the portal and buy products. The example that Daniel showed is a hybrid of it, where there's a B2C channel, that's the public website. You can do all kinds of like normal website things on it. But when a B2B customer logs in with a login and a profile associated with that client in Sage, their specific logic shows up. So they get the B2B experience, because at that point we know this is a B2B buyer. We shouldn't bother them with some of that. So the answer is yes and yes. We have people that have their site completely invisible unless there is a vetted account, and we have people that have it public, but it changes after people log in.
Yeah, and Chris,
Okay.
you mentioned earlier about terminology, and I think that's so big in this, even in this question, right? Like what I see in that scenario is people referring it to as a dealer portal, right? So they've got a content page, and then up in the right-hand corner or left-hand corner, it says dealer portal, and it's just a blank login page. So you can't get to it. It's gated. You only see the content from the content section of the site, but it isn't until you log in that you get that real personalized B2B experience where your end user, your customer, is going to feel like, wow, this is for me. They made this especially for me, and this is how it's going to be easy to do business now and in the future.
Okay, great. Our next question is, how does an ERP-First approach actually improve the buying experience for customers?
Yeah, accuracy of data. The prices they see, the inventory numbers they see is what's actually reality. What we've seen in the past with people that run on an e-commerce first platform and on an ERP first platform is that a client walks away thinking they've placed an order, but they get a follow-up email or phone call that was like, we received your order, but actually somebody else placed an order right at the same time, and we don't have inventory. We expect a new shipment in 2 weeks. What would you like to do? And that's frustrating for the customer, but it's also extra operational hassle for you to kind of have to deal with those exceptions. Here, those exceptions are really only happening if it's the case, because the system knows exactly what the inventory is.
Okay, and then our next question that we received is, at what point does it make sense to rethink your current e-commerce platform?
Yeah, always. But I think it's the natural life cycle is 2 to 3 years. But it's also a strategic decision for many of our clients. They choose to want to do more revenue online, or they choose to want to reduce costs with their field sales team that is now taking phone orders. Clients in general become more independent and want to have the liberty to place orders when they need to. We see also that a lot of the clients of our clients run their own businesses, and they need to place orders in the off hours when they're not serving their clients. Yeah, it's important, I think, that as a vendor, you are flexible and are able to adapt to your audience and the audience of your audience, and bring as many tools and channels. Yeah, don't create hurdles for them to place an order. And how easy is it that you can just do it yourself whenever you want it around the clock?
Okay, great, thank you. So this time, if there are any additional questions, please feel free, just as a reminder, to put those in the chat, and we'll be happy to address those for you. And also, if you'd like to go ahead and set up a meeting to speak with your Sage account manager, as well as perhaps get more information on what we're discussing today in regards to commercebuild, or maybe perhaps you're interested in a custom demo, feel free to go ahead and select book a meeting, and we will follow up with you to schedule that based on your availability. And I will also be sharing the recording today after the webinar. So again, feel free to share that with your colleagues if you think they may also benefit from commercebuild and what we've been discussing. And we did receive some additional feedback from our customer just in follow-up to earlier. He had mentioned that he says, we like our B2C commerce site. Have you ever done a Magento to commercebuild migration, preserving the elements we would want to maintain? And
Yes.
does commercebuild interface with ShipWorks?
Yes to both. We from somebody that sold and worked with Magento for a very long time. It's a great platform for a great cause, but B2B is where it falls short. A lot of overhead, a lot of maintenance, just extra additional work. So if you like staying up late, hitting the button for re-indexing, crossing your fingers at night, if you've got quite a few SKU numbers in the back end, that's a good platform. But yeah, one of the things that we do is preserving SEO, preserving what you like, and enhancing what you don't like. And that's all part of working with commercebuild during the implementation process. We'll introduce you to the consultants who are very good at that, and they're going to work with you hand in hand, right? This isn't kind of a set it and forget it type of implementation process. It's very invasive. We're going to ask you questions. We're going to ask you to really think about your business, think about your buyers, think about your customers, think about how you want the journey to be. Your website is usually what customers see, and they get a nice impression of you. So how do you want that flow from customer coming in, and that even is from what they type in on Google, right? Where do you line up? Where do you show up against your competition? And then what happens after the transaction? That's important too, right? So third-party connections into CRM, maybe Klaviyo or some reporting thing. All that matters for you to make accurate decisions and to figure out, do I go left or do I go right in this one? So it's always a moving target with e-commerce, as it should be, because people's buying habits change, markets habits change as well too. But yeah, super easy. to do Magento, Shopify, commerce. We have a methodology that we follow, and we think it's pretty dang good.
Yeah, and
Okay.
there was a question before that too from the same person that it was really also related to make, model, year. So we've seen those scenarios too, and it's funny that both Magento and the car industry come up, Daniel, because I don't think of a better prospect for you in person than when those subjects apply. Yeah, we've seen those in the car industry. We've dealt with it with. I've had a case with a gun holster manufacturer where it's a configurator, but not quite a configurator, right? Like there's variables to a product, and that brings you to a SKU. So we've seen a lot of those scenarios over the years. And we've even seen cases where people are happy with their B2C site on a platform, but realize that the B2B is never going to work on it, and we run them in parallel. That is also totally fine. You can just start small, bring your B2B dealer portal into Sage, real-time integrated, without disrupting your B2C all at the same time. And then you grow into the platform, and as you get comfortable, you move over, or you don't, and that's fine as well. We're there to make your online presence a success, and we're not in the way of owning it all if you're happy otherwise.
Okay, great. Well, I know we have about 2 minutes remaining. So again, based on what we've discussed today, if you are interested in learning more about commercebuild and the value it could bring to your organization, please feel free to click on book a meeting, and you'll be directed to a form where you can just fill out your information, and then your Sage account manager will follow up with you, and we can set up some time to answer your questions about commercebuild. And I will also be sharing the recording, which will be going out shortly in follow up to our webinar today. So wanted to thank everyone so much for spending this hour with us. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today, as well as Daniel. We hope you found this presentation to our audience fairly insightful and got a sense of the value that commercebuild could really help deliver for your team and for your organization. When I close out the webinar today, you will see a survey about 5 questions. So please let us know if you would like to learn more, if you'd like to be contacted, and we will follow up with you. So thank you so much again for joining, and we hope you have a wonderful day.